All right, Medicare eligibility. This is a little more complicated than what a lot of people think it actually is. So Medicare is something that you become eligible for based upon your work credits or the time that you spent working during your lifetime, or perhaps one of your parents or your spouse. So if we have, for instance, a farmer's wife who took care of the farm the entire time, all the taxes were filed in his name, that does not mean that the spouse is not eligible for Medicare. She is, because she was part of the business and part of the supporting the husband, and therefore she is also eligible for Medicare. But in general, in order to become eligible for Medicare, you would need to have 40 credits or have worked for a minimum amount of money for 40 quarters during your lifetime. So every 3 month period would be a quarter, and you'd receive 1 credit for working during that quarter. People who do not meet that minimum eligibility may have a premium for their Medicare Part A that somebody who worked for 40 quarters would not. So most people have worked that or have the work credits in their lifetime and receive Part A without having to pay any premiums for it. It's been paid for by your payroll taxes as you worked during your lifetime. People who did not get enough quarters of work may end up with a premium for their Medicare Part A. It can be hundreds of dollars. So it is important that if you're working, you're paying your taxes, you're reporting your work history to the government as you do things. Medicare Part B does typically carry a premium. For 2022, that premium is going to be $170.10 for anybody who is on the basic Medicare Part B. This can be adjusted in a couple different ways. For people who are lower income, who receive Medicaid, that premium can be paid for them by the state that they live in, depending on their Medicaid qualifications and subject to a lot of regulations that I don't really want to go that far into the weeds on. For someone who is a higher earner, somebody who is making more than X number of dollars every year, and it changes every year. This year, I believe it's somewhere around $87,000. I'd have to pull up the chart to be 100% certain. But for a single person making about $87,000, they actually receive an additional Medicare premium because of their high earner status. For a married couple, it would be doubled. And there are several levels to this. I believe there are 4 or 5 levels of extra premium that you can assume for your Part B because of your higher earning. This might also apply to your Part D premiums. It's also important to know that there are penalties for not enrolling in Part B or Part D when you first become eligible if you do not have any other creditable coverage for your Part B or your Part D. So in most cases, if you're still working and you stay on your employer's plan once you are eligible for Medicare, that coverage is going to count for you as creditable coverage. You're not going to receive a penalty. But for someone, say they retired, they had Medicare Part A and Part B, but chose not to pick up a prescription drug plan because they weren't taking any prescription drugs. If and when they do pick up a drug plan in the future, whether it be an independent drug plan or part of a Medicare Advantage plan, if they did not have any other creditable coverage, they could incur a penalty that they would have to pay. That penalty is based on how many months of coverage they were eligible for that they did not have that coverage. Again, it can get a little complex. It's hard to explain in a video like this. It's one of these things. If you would like to schedule a time with us, please go to the contact page. We would be more than happy to schedule a time to come and meet with you and explain this situation a little more in depth.